Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in, because today we are unpacking Ryan Holiday's brilliant philosophy on finding inner peace amidst our absolutely overwhelming 24/7 modern media cycle. Our phones are always buzzing, the news literally never stops, but what if the secret to surviving all this isn't moving faster, but actually just stopping?
This is really the ultimate question for us today. How on earth can we thrive when burnout and constant noise seem completely unavoidable? Believe it or not, the world has always been chaotic. But as we're going to see from some of history's absolute greatest figures, finding a way to thrive in that disorder is a tangible skill that we can all learn.
The first thing we've got to understand is that stillness is not weakness. It's not inactivity. It is a wildly powerful tool used by leaders like Seneca and Abraham Lincoln to maintain absolute clarity during war and total disorder. Seneca lived in the loud, chaotic hubbub of first-century Rome, dealing with massive financial and personal crises, yet he maintained his clarity simply by tuning out the external world. Similarly, Abraham Lincoln found stillness during the absolute worst days of the Civil War. That mental quiet allowed him to see the strategic importance of Vicksburg when literally none of his advisors could. Stillness happens within us, and it's exactly what allows us to stop being at war with the world around us.
To get our heads around this, we'll follow a simple roadmap. We'll look at the sheer power of stillness, and then break it down into a triad of mastery, the domain of the mind, the spirit, and the body. Finally, we'll look at what it means to embrace the final piece.
So let's start things off with domain number 1, the mind, and how we actually find clarity.
Picture this. It's 1962, tensions with the USSR at a complete boiling point during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Millions of lives are literally on the line. But instead of letting that immense pressure force a hasty, aggressive decision, John F. Kennedy took time alone. He actually stepped away from the frantic Situation Room to sketch ocean scenes and sailboats on a legal pad. By maintaining that open mind and silently reflecting, he became the stillest guy in the room. And that directly led to a blockade strategy that completely avoided nuclear war. That is mental stillness in action.
Think about the brilliant Stoic and Buddhist metaphor of muddy water. If you're constantly stirring a glass of muddy water, you can't see through it at all. But if you're patient and you just let it sit there, the dirt naturally settles to the bottom and the water becomes perfectly clear. It's a great reminder that we simply can't force complex answers just because we're in a hurry.
So, how do we achieve this ourselves? Well, you've got to limit your daily inputs. Tune out that frantic 24-hour news cycle. You can also empty your mind through journaling, much like Anne Frank did for incredible catharsis while hiding out in an attic. We also need to intentionally cultivate silence. The composer John Cage deeply believed it's all about the discipline to listen past the noise. And finally, just admit what you don't know. It's totally fine, and it keeps you entirely open to actual wisdom.
All right, moving from the head right down into the heart. Domain 2, the spirit, and our search for true contentment. Mental toughness is fantastic, but it won't last a second if your soul is constantly on fire. Take Tiger Woods, for example. He was an absolute prodigy, enduring brutal training from his father to become mentally equipped for any challenge on the golf course. He achieved staggering wealth and won championships, even playing on a fractured leg. Yet despite all this profound external mastery, his internal life was deeply unsettled, which inevitably led to massive scandals and chaos. His story is a powerful reminder that if our deep emotional voids aren't dealt with, our skills alone are never going to bring us true contentment. The author Joseph Heller shared a brilliant sentiment about this with Kurt Vonnegut. He emphasized the profound power of enoughness to cure our relentless desire for more. Heller noted that he had something a billionaire could literally never have, the understanding that he simply had enough. You see, envy and the constant lust for more act as a direct poison to stillness. We are so often driven to achieve one goal after another, feeling zero reward when we finally get there. Finding enoughness means finding a confident security in yourself that external comparison just cannot break. Spiritual tranquility requires deliberate action. That might mean doing the hard work to heal your inner child, just like Leonardo da Vinci needed to do with the profound wounds from his unaccepting father, so you don't act out of unresolved pain. We also have to consciously bathe in beauty. Going back to Anne Frank, she found true serenity just looking at the sky out of an attic window. It proves that divinely beautiful experiences are always available to us if we're just open to them. And honestly, grounding ourselves in a higher power gives us a sense of purpose well beyond our own totally uncontrollable lives.
Which brings us to a really fascinating paradox in Domain 3, the body, and finding action. It turns out, internal stillness actually requires strict physical boundaries. Winston Churchill relied heavily on a super rigid bodily routine to successfully lead through World War II without entirely depleting his energy. Despite facing the immense crushing stress of a global conflict, he absolutely refused to waste his physical energy. He stuck to a daily routine that included morning baths, reading, countryside walks, and, strangely enough, bricklaying and painting. He wasn't even particularly great at these hobbies, but they brought him peace. By taking care of his body, he supported the heavy, heavy work required of his mind and heart.
We also have to learn the power of saying no. Think about the Roman general Fabius. He defeated the mighty Hannibal simply through strategic patience and resisting the overwhelming urge to rush into battle. Hannibal's had the elements working against him, and Fabius realized that the smartest physical action was actually inaction. The concept of Wu Wei is exactly this, the profound power of knowing when not to act. In our modern world, we so often view stillness as weak. We feel this crazy urge to constantly go, go, go. But high-stakes scenarios require us to see the red and yellow traffic lights of life, allowing us to slow down and stop, rather than just blindly rushing through.
Your body absolutely needs these practical takeaways. For instance, the Buddhists call walking meditation kenhin. It's all about leisurely detaching from the pressure of the world. And sleep? Sleep is absolutely not a luxury. We can look to Dov Charney, whose notorious 24/7 open-door policy at American Apparel led to severe sleep deprivation, which completely impaired his decision-making and heavily contributed to the company's downfall. Finally, engaging in true leisure is vital. Think of Herbert Hoover fishing just to wash his soul. Just beware of escapism, which is hiding from your problems rather than choosing to actually rest and recharge.
Finally, we arrive at part 4, embracing the final piece.
So where does this all ultimately lead? Equanimitas, peace in the mind. These were the final dying words of Emperor Antoninus Pius, and they remind us of something crucial. Because death brings the final stillness, we desperately need to prioritize inner peace while we are still living. Uttered at the age of 74, that single word perfectly captures the whole goal. Buddha and Epicurus spoke incredibly similarly on their own deathbeds, focusing entirely on liberation and the heart's true contentment. Since we all share this inevitable fate, why wait? We must actively prioritize the stillness of these 3 domains today, creating a life of harmony right now.
Ryan Holiday actually grounds this entire philosophy right on his own farm, demonstrating what perfect harmony across the mind, heart, and body actually looks like on, say, a normal Tuesday. In the afterword of his book, he describes finishing up his writing, going outside, and fixing a fence with his son. When a neighbor's bull randomly wanders onto his property, he doesn't panic, he doesn't get angry. He remains completely patient, handles the physical tasks safely, and just takes in the beauty of his surroundings. He is fully present. His work is distant, his world is still, and his actions reflect a perfect, balanced harmony.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought, challenging you to take these historical lessons and find your own stillness in whatever incredibly stressful situation you might be facing right now. The chaos, it isn't going away. The media cycle will keep spinning, and the crazy demands on your time will definitely persist. But the stillness is yours to claim. Whether you need to limit your inputs, heal your inner child, or just take a walk and get a good night's sleep, what step will you take today to stop being at war with the world and finally start finding your peace?